Insurance and financial services company in South Springfield, and 20 years is our anniversary next year. The company has evolved into what it is today, which was a vision of having a one-stop shop.
You hire the best of the best.
Yes, we do. Everybody here to me is family.
Our guiding principles are:
be kind,
speak honestly,
make it simple,
act fairly,
put people over profits. Simple solutions.
Good morning, Rogersville. Thanks for joining us once again on Dollars and Cents right here on K-ROG. And we've got Roy Rickstrew back with us once again to talk about disability. A lot of good feedback from your appearance last week, Roy. So thanks for coming on. And I got some live questions here, and you know they're real because I can do that, right? That's the old, yeah. David Letterman said live viewer. Remember that?
I do.
Yeah, live viewer questions right here, and he'd shake the card. So this is a question, and do I have to pick a condition to file on? So what does that mean?
Well, a lot of times when I talk to people, I get a lot of feedback from them that suggests, hey, I'm going for disability based on my depression, for example, and they pick one condition. And there's a misconception that you have to pick even a primary condition or one single condition, when in reality, Social Security will look at anything that limits your ability to do work-like activities. So our lift, carry, sit, stand, walk, understand, remember, communicate with others. Any condition that impacts that is then graded by the Social Security Administration. So even though you may have a back condition and that's your primary disability, the migraines and anything else needs to be reported as well.
So you can have multiple conditions.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, and that makes sense because, I mean, if you have two conditions, that probably has an exponential impact on your ability to do work.
Correct, and a lot of times they play against each other as well. Whereas if you have a problem with your hands, for example, from carpal tunnel syndrome, you may not be able to do repetitive work, but from a mental standpoint, you may be limited to simple work.
Sure.
And so the two of them kind of play against each
I'm
other.
pretty limited to simple work based on my mental condition too. I understand that. So maybe I should apply. You never know.
But
So-
they force you into something that then another aspect of your condition may prevent you from doing.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So how do they determine disability? How do they calculate that?
Yeah, so kind of in a general sense, once we get this list of conditions established that interfere with your ability to work, they go through and they grade each of those to determine how big of an impact they have on these worker type functions. And then they look at what you can do at a maximum, called your residual functioning capacity, and they compare that to what employers would require at a minimum. And if you can meet the minimum requirement of employers, then you're denied. If you can't, then you're approved.
Okay. Well, that makes sense too. So what type of jobs is the Social Security Administration looking at to make those decisions?
Right, so it's dependent upon our age. Social Security is one place where our age actually works to our advantage. There aren't many places that it does. But when we hit age 50 and age 55, they start taking jobs out of the national economy on the premise that you're basically old enough or too far into your work years to learn a new job. Employers don't like to spend money on older workers.
Right.
That's just kind of the reality of it. So when you're under age 50, the thought is you can be retrained to do any job in the national economy, even things you don't have any experience with or any knowledge of. At age 50, if you haven't done desk work, it's not real likely you're going to be taught desk-oriented office skills.
Right.
So they throw those out. And then at age 55, they throw away the next classification of work, which we see in the national economy as hotel desk clerks, dry cleaners, retail sales workers, cashier, Dollar General, hotel staff, those type of jobs. We're on your feet most of the day.
Those are gone at 55?
Yeah, they are, unless you have that work experience.
Unless you have the experience. So I think a good takeaway from there is if maybe you've been denied when you're younger, maybe if once you reach one of those age 50, age 55, it may be time to at least revisit the conversation.
Yeah, it's funny that, magically you turn 50 and jobs go away for you.
Well, that's what happened to me. I turned 50 and I couldn't work anymore.
But yeah, most definitely. A lot of people are denied at 48 or 49, and had they been 50, they would have been approved.
Yeah.
And so you want to revisit that.
So I think that kind of raises an interesting question. Can you then get sent to a job that you don't know how to do?
You can. You can, especially if you're in that younger group under age 50, you can be retrained to go do anything. But if you're in one of those older groups, 50 or 55, maybe you can't do what you used to do, but you may have acquired job skills that would allow you to transition to something that's slightly easier. So for example, if you had been a lead foreman on a roofing crew, you may have developed job skills, blueprint reading, what have you, to then go bid or estimate jobs, which might be an easier job physically for you.
Okay. And, what if you've gone through the whole process and you just disagree with the decision?
Well, there's several layers of appeal, actually. When you file initially, there's a reconsideration. That's the first level of appeal. It's basically a redo of the same process with the same Social Security staff involved, more or less. If you're denied there, that you get to go in front of an administrative law judge in an in-person hearing and actually talk with the decision maker about your limitations and how your condition affects you.
And you do all of that.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. And anywhere along the process, you're able to put in briefs, arguments to try to advance that case or try to solicit a review from the judge, for example, before the hearing itself. And if you have a representative who's experienced and knowledgeable, they can grab those opportunities, keep that in front of the judge, keep the ball in their court, but also kind of force that issue and make sure that it gets looked at early.
And how long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been doing the advocacy aspect of it for 19 years. And before that, of course, I worked for the state processing the disability claims. So I'm closing in on 23 years, I believe.
Yeah, almost time to get disability and retire.
Boy, I'll tell you, it seems like forever.
And if people have questions, they want to get a hold of you,
Sure.
you're at the Resource Center now.
That's correct. The 417-882-1800 will get me, 417-882-1800. We're also doing disability seminars, just kind of a 1-hour session on the disability process, what to expect, some kind of tips or tricks, things you should watch for. It's informational. It's no obligation, no cost, no hard sell on those.
And you're no fee unless there's a recovery too, right?
That's correct.
And you do those seminars, once a week?
We do them every Thursday at 2:30, and then we're doing the first and third Thursday of each month at 6 o'clock in case you have family or friends or someone who wants to tag along.
And then again, to RSVP for that would be 882-1800.
That's correct. That'd be a great number to RSVP. We prefer that people do.
Sure.
We have quite a bit of space, but I'd hate for somebody to not have a seat.
Sure. No, I understand. So thanks for joining us again, Roy. Appreciate that. We'll probably get Bruce back in here one of these days.
Yeah, he's on vacation.
Yeah.
He should be back soon. So thanks so much, Will.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you soon on K-ROG. Thanks for watching.
Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and the Resource Center, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet a particular need of an individual situation. The Resource Center, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this podcast shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein, provided by third parties, have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by the Resource Center, Inc. This podcast is a paid placement.